Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video session, I'll be covering the doctrine rule against bias, one of the basic principles of natural justice. And the topics which I am going to cover is the meaning of the doctrine, why factor, why this doctrine is necessary, why this doctrine is called one of the basic features of natural justice, and the kinds along with all the important case laws. So let's start the video. Let's start the class. So far, the meaning of the doctrine of rule against bias is concerned, it is the minimum requirement of natural justice that judges or the adjudicatory authority or the deciding authority should be composed of unbiased persons, impartial persons, acting fairly without bias. Bias, the dictionary meaning of this term is partiality, but in legal sense, bias means that mental condition which renders a judge unable to discharge his functions impartially by influencing his judgment. It is that mental condition which influences the judgment of a judge. The Honorable Supreme Court, in numbers of its decisions, defines bias as a predisposition of a decision without proper regards to the true merits of a case. And as per this rule against bias, the judgment, if it is biased, the judge is to be disqualified. And if any order passed which is influenced, which is biased, is liable to be quashed off. Well, there are three pillars of this doctrine. There are three basic ingredients of this doctrine. These are, first one is a Latin maxim. First one can be well defined by a Latin maxim, namely, nemo dabit as judex in propria causa. That means no one should be a judge of his own cause. Or nemo dabit causa sua. That means no man shall be a judge of his own cause. কোনো মানুহ নিজৰ কেছতে judge হ'ব নোৱাৰে. কোনো মানুহ নিজে নিজকে judge কৰিব নোৱাৰে. Well, I will explain this maxim in details. The second one is, come to the second ingredient, that means judgment should not only be done but undoubtedly and manifestly seen to be done. It means that justice should be so done that the common people can feel that yes, justice has done, so that they can believe yes, there is a system called justice. And the third one is, judges should be beyond suspicion. Basically, etu doctrine etue koy that judge jon hoday nirapekho hobo lagibo. Coming to the why factor, why this doctrine of rule against bias is considered one of the basic components of natural justice. See, human psychology says that people can rarely take decision against their own interest. If the judges have any kind of interest in a given case, his judgment may likely to be affected thereby. His judgment may likely to be influenced thereby. Even though it was not originally influenced, it will be come under the purview of suspicion. And in order to retain public confidence over the justice delivery system, it should be impartial, neutral, fair, and beyond all sorts of suspicion or biasness. So that is why this rule against bias, or nemo dabit causa sua, is called one of the basic components of natural justice. Now come to the kinds of rule against bias. Come to the kinds of bias. A decision may be biased for so many reasons. A judge may be influenced in a case for so many reasons. Sometimes for personal reasons, sometimes for pecuniary reasons, and sometimes for other reasons also. But the kinds, that means bias, is generally divided into three classes or three kinds. These are personal bias, pecuniary bias, and bias as to the subject matter. come to the personal bias. When the judge has any kind of personal feeling to either party to dispute, it is called personal bias. That personal feeling may arise out of any kind of friendship, or either party may be a relative, maybe his relative, or maybe a family member of him. There may be enmity, competition, ill will, rivalry, jealousy, or so on. Here, I would like to refer a very interesting case on this point. That is the case of A.K. Kraiborg versus the Union of India, which came up in the year 1970 and decided by the Supreme Court of India. In 1966, what happened? The government of India introduced Indian Forest Services as one of the as one of the All India services, and the staffs were to be selected by the State Selection Board at the first level, and thereafter they were to be selected by the UPSC. And at the state level, the head conservative of forest was to be the head of the selection board. In the state of Jammu and Kashmir, what happened? The head conservative of forest was also the head of the selection board, and he was appeared, that means this person Nakushband, he was appeared also as a member of this exam, and later on he got selected. His selection was challenged on the ground of bias, and the court quashed his selection, saying that his presence in the selection board may adversely influence his decision in the board. There was real likelihood of bias, so this was an example of biasness arising out of personal friendship. In another case, namely Mindla's Tea Estate versus their workmen, which came up in the year 1963 and also decided by the Supreme Court. That means this case also decided by the Supreme Court. In this case, what happened? The manager of the tea estate was alleged to assault one of their workmen, and an inquiry against these accusation or allegation was also conducted by this manager, and the court disqualified the manager on the ground of personal bias. Being an accused, he cannot be a judge of his own cause. Come to the second type of bias, that is pecuniary bias. And as the name itself suggesting, pecuniary bias arises when the judge has any kind of pecuniary interest or monetary interest in the matter. No matter how small it is, it will disqualify him. In an English case, namely R versus Brinsley, which came up in the year 1976, 7 judges bench gave a decision in favor of a corporation, and later on it came up that 5 out of that 7 judges were members of that corporation, and it was held as a case of pecuniary bias, and the judgment given by the bench was quashed off. Similar situation also arises in India in the case of Jijivoy versus Assistant Collector, came up in the year 1965 and decided by the Supreme Court. In this case, a bench was constituted to decide a matter relating to dispute of a land relating to a cooperative society, and later on it came up that some of the judges of that bench were also members of that cooperative society. The bench was ordered to be reconstituted. Come to the third type of bias, that is bias as to the subject matter. Bias as to the subject matter arises when the judge has any kind of interest into the subject matter of the dispute. That bias may be direct or indirect also. But interestingly, this type of bias disqualifies a judge when his interest as to the subject matter is direct an immediate one and not an indirect one. That means there should be a real likelihood of biasness. This type of bias can further be categorized. This type of bias can further be categorized into 4 subheads or 4 subkinds. That is departmental bias, acting under dictation, preconceived bias, and judicial obstinacy. Come to the departmental bias. Departmental bias relates to the departmental proceedings, and also it is known as official bias. And the question of departmental bias arises when the same department which initiates the matter also decides it. There is a leading case on this point of departmental bias, that is Gullapalli Nageshwara Rao versus APSR Transport Corporation, came up in the year 1959 and decided by the Supreme Court. In this case, the Andhra Pradesh government passed an order to nationalize public transport, and a challenge against the order was passed. The Supreme Court held that the order was liable to be quashed as the order was passed by the Secretary of Transport Department of the state of Andhra Pradesh, and the challenge against the order was decided by this Secretary of Transport Department, and the Supreme Court eventually quashed the order on the ground that the person who passed the order also decides a challenge against the order. In another case law, that is Hari Khemu versus Commissioner of Police, an order was challenged on the ground that police department passed the order and hear and decide the challenge against the order. But this time Supreme Court rejected the challenge against the order, saying that so long as 2 functions were discharged by 2 different officers, though they are from the same department, there is no bias. That means the same department may pass the order and decide a challenge against the order, but the thing is that the same person cannot. That means the same person, if the same person pass the order and also decide a challenge against the order, then that will be bias. And come to the next type of bias, that is acting under dictation, or bias arising out of acting under dictation. It is a well-settled rule of natural justice that if an adjudicator decides a matter under the dictation from the superior authority, the decision will be liable to be struck down. Here dictation means strict instruction. Why? Because decision maker must have power to exercise at least certain amount of discretion to take decision of their own. Our next type of bias is preconceived bias. See, preconceived bias is a very delicate problem of administrative law. Why? Because this type of bias is very difficult to prove. This type of bias is based on a mental element, that is a predetermined state of mind, where the deciding authority decides the matter on a predetermined opinion, or on the basis of a predetermined opinion as to the matter, without having regards to the proper merits of the case. Come to the last type of bias, that is judicial obstinacy. See, this kind of bias is formulated by the Supreme Court of India. Obstinacy. implies unreasonable persistency or continuity. This is new category of bias which was discovered by the Supreme Court in a situation where a judge of Kolkata High Court upheld his own judgment while sitting in an appeal against his own judgment. Thus, what judicial obstinacy says about is rule against bias includes appealable matters also, and says that no judge can decide an appeal against his own judgment, neither directly nor indirectly. So that's it. That was all about rule against bias or doctrine of rule against bias. And if you have any confusion, any doubt, please comment me in the comment box below. I'll be always there to reply you back. And with that note, I'm leaving you today. Bye-bye.